Hey Insiders, it's your girl Nicole, aka and/or the Insider here, to tell you all about my experiences interning in different congressional offices. Now make sure you like and subscribe or comment down below if you enjoyed this video. So, I interned in 2 different congressional offices in 2 different states. And there were local offices. I didn't get to go to DC, unfortunately, but I actually learned a lot in those 2 offices. So with the first congressional internship, US Congressional Internship, I was very nervous because I did not know what to expect, and I was actually really surprised that I got the internship because in college my major was finance, and so that was like my first real, I guess, experience with politics, like working in a political setting. So I was very nervous, and I was one of the only black people in the office, so that made me more nervous, but everybody was very welcoming. And just like I said in another video, when you work on a campaign, everybody's welcoming. That's how everybody is working at congressional offices too. So the cases, so basically what I did on a day-to-day basis was I did a lot of casework, constituent casework. So anything dealing with like federal matters that we could handle, we would help people. A lot of times people would come in and they would need something that we couldn't, they would need help with something that we couldn't handle, or they would need a lawyer or something, so we would try to refer them to the correct point of contact. But most of the time in the first office that I worked in, I did a lot of work with immigration, homelessness, housing. Yeah, that's mostly what I did. So it was actually pretty fun. When I first started working there, they would teach us like maybe for an hour a day about what you're supposed to be doing and what's the correct procedure if somebody says this. Like if a homeless person comes in and says this, or an elderly person can't mow their lawn, what should we do? Or if an immigrant wants to become a citizen, what should we do? And so they would teach us about that. And then they would give us like different scenarios to fill out, and we would have to answer them and make sure that we were handling it properly. So that was pretty fun because I never really thought about that kind of stuff. Like if I ever had a problem, my first thought would never to be to go to a congressperson. But they're actually an excellent resource when their office is handled, when their local office is handled properly and organized and stuff like that. So yeah, for the most part I was doing casework. In my first internship I was doing a lot of casework, but I also got to go to lots of events. So I went to a forum actually with a bunch of different leaders in the city that I was in, and they were talking about voting rights because there was a lot of gerrymandering and stuff like that going on in the area. And so they were like getting together to figure out what they were gonna do, and I was just so happy because that was like the first big political event that I went to. So it was great. And we always got to go to different events. So sometimes, not necessarily on behalf of the congressperson, but you know, we could tell people that we were an intern and they'd be all happy and they would ask us questions about what we were doing in the office or blah, blah, blah. So that was fun. And I met a really great friend there. I actually talked to him a few weeks ago via Instagram. You know, that's always great to connect on social media. But yeah, I made some lifelong friends in that first office. I learned a lot. I broke my shyness working in politics, so that was great too. So yeah. Now in the second congressional office, my experience, like the tasks that I would do on a daily basis were the same, but my experience was completely different. So I worked with a bunch of mostly African Americans and Mexican Americans, and the office was so much fun. I mean, everybody was super down to earth. You could talk about anything with them, like personal matters or office matters, or everybody was very open. It was great. My hours were very flexible. Of course, you know, I was coming in on time and all that, but there's a lot of leeway there. It was just a really fun experience. And of course, there I did casework too, because that's basically what you do in local offices. And in this office, I did a lot of prison work. So I heard like some crazy, crazy things. Like a lot of times prisoners would write us letters because they were going through something in the jail, like in the prison, like they had been harassed or abused in some way. A lot of times people just wanted somebody to talk to, so they would keep writing us letters. I mean, I remember I had a file for this one person that was probably like this big, and well, it was my job to basically kind of sort it and figure out what was going on with the guy. Whew. Sometimes people's families would contact us because they wanted all kinds of stuff. Whatever issue you can imagine with somebody in prison is what I heard. And that was a really eye-opening experience because of course I had learned a lot about like the prison industrial complex, but to actually see it firsthand, what people are talking about and how people are being treated, was so crazy to me. Like, wow, that was an experience I will treasure for the rest of my life, because that really put things into perspective, you know? Yeah, and, you know, just like the last congressional just like the last congressional internship, I went to lots of events. I got to mingle with some rich and famous people. Sometimes it was a little intimidating because, like, I remember I went to this really big event. It was almost like a ball or a gala or something, and everybody there was like grown, and they were like business professionals and professionals in this and that. And I was just this young little, what year was I? A junior in college, just trying to, you know, forge my path. But it was a lot of fun. So the most fun thing about interning in congressional offices is, I think, getting to work with the other interns. Because in my first internship, there were a couple other guys, and they were great. They were a lot of fun. And just like I said before, one of them I still follow on Instagram. Hey, shout out to you. You know who you are. And in the second office, they were like, man, we had so many interns. It was crazy. Like, we had a whole different section of the office just for the interns, because there was so much work that needed to be done. And everybody came from different backgrounds and different ages, and sometimes we would compete to see who could do the most cases. I mean, we were doing all kinds of stuff. We had so much fun going to lunch together, going to different events. It was great. Going to protests. I mean, I will always cherish those experiences. And, you know, it doesn't look too bad on your resume when you intern for a couple of US congressional offices. I really can't think of any major cons to interning in congressional offices. The only thing I can say is that you really don't get paid, at least in the local offices. And I don't even think in the DC offices too often you get paid. So I would like go to my internship one day and then go to work the next day. So that was pretty cool. And usually their hours are really flexible. So like during my second congressional internship, I think I would intern sometimes for like 5 hours a day. I mean, it was pretty chill and laid back, so that was fun. You also get to work with a lot of young people, a lot of like-minded people, and I never had a problem with anybody working in those offices. Like, I never had, now I can say that I sometimes had problems with people who didn't like the congressperson I was working for. I remember this one time, our phones were being blown up by people calling with a bunch of racial slurs. And at one point, we weren't even mad anymore. We would put them on speaker and the whole office would be laughing at them. So that was pretty crazy. But yeah, I loved every second of interning at those offices. I just wish that it came with a little money, you know, but it's on my resume. So what can you say? So insiders, I hope you guys learned something about what life is like as a congressional intern, as a US congressional intern. Let me add that US to it, just so y'all know who y'all messing with. But if you have any questions or you want to talk about your own experience, make sure you comment below. Bye, insiders.